acting. Yes, from time to time, I have done some acting on film. On film. Yeah, and some small parts, some big parts, some short films, some big films. Probably nothing you've seen. And do I like acting? No, I am definitely a self-proclaimed reluctant actor. But here's the thing with film acting, you know, especially now in the digital video era, you know, you don't like what you did, you could do another take. You can do 50 takes if you have a patient director. Not John Whitney. But if you do, you can do numerous takes until you feel good about it and get it right. So come the end of that particular project, if you have a good editor, you know, you potentially have put your best on film or video, whatever the case might be. The actor that I envy, the actor that I respect, the actor who I don't know if I could ever be is the stage actor. Wow. I mean, I've never done a play. I think maybe something small in the 5th grade, but as an adult, I've never done anything on stage as a play. It terrifies me. I'm scared to death over the entire concept of getting up there and delivering lines each night to a new crowd of people, to have to memorize all of that. And people say, why are you scared of being on stage? You do stand-up comedy. That's different. Those are my words, and I can alter those words any which way I want to on any given night. I can take things out, put new things in. I can get a feel for what the crowd is. For me personally, there's nobody else depending on me for, you know, continuity and a scene and a relationship, whatever oh my God. And when I see my friends go up on stage, I literally am just amazed. I have the utmost respect for what they do and how they do it. So you're wondering, what's he getting to? What's his point? Where's he going with all this? Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, the world is a stage, and the stage is whiskey business. How was that? Was that dramatic? Was that too dramatic?
That was great.
Thank you. Thank
Bravo,
you. Thank
bravo.
you. Acting. Thank you very much.
And scene.
Our guest bottle tonight is from right here in Columbus, Ohio. Middle West Spirits Straight Wheated Bourbon Whiskey. This is a twofold reason why we have the bottle tonight. One, we like supporting Ohio products. Two, hey, Middle West, come on Whiskey Business and tell us how you make your whiskey. Okay? Free plug.
You hear that, Christina?
You got it? You got it? No, actually, we've been in contact with the folks at Middle West through the Instagrams, Hansberry.
Ooh,
and
social media.
Yeah, I know,
finest.
right? And they're interested in coming on and sharing some of their knowledge with us. Speaking of knowledge and information, before we get to our very special guest tonight, why don't you share some of the stuff that people need to know?
Well, speaking of Instagram, of course, Whiskey Business is on on Instagram, Whiskey Business Podcast. We're on Facebook.
We are.
We're on the Twitters. We tweet at Whiskey Biz Show. But here's the thing. I was out working in the yard because it's kind of starting to get nice, and I always listen to podcasts while I'm like mowing the lawn or like pretending to work outside just to like not be out with the kids.
Where are you going with
Well,
this?
because over the winter, I got used to watching Whiskey Business on YouTube. Mm-hmm. With John Whitney does an amazing job with our YouTube channel.
Right.
And so I feel like I'm going to still have to watch it. I'm going to listen to it while I mow the lawn and still watch it. Anyway, Whiskey Business is on YouTube, and John keeps it raw and unedited, so it's all of, like the sloppy nonsense that we clean up. Whiskey Business Show with Dino Tripodis. Subscribe, rate, and review, share. But also on iTunes, your favorite podcasting app, subscribe, rate, and review. And also, we like to say word of mouth, share with all of your...
By all means, please
your
do. That seems to be our best method of getting the word out there. So, yes, I talked about the stage, the acting on the stage, the actor on the stage actor. I'm being redundant and ridiculous on purpose. And our guest tonight is Krista Stauffer, who is the artist educator at Catco. She works with kids and teaches kids, does a wonderful job. She is a stage actor. Do they say actress or actor, or is everybody an actor in theater?
I personally call myself an actor.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like there shouldn't be any.
I think
Saying actor, I don't think
it
it's just a
encompasses
man
everybody.
anymore.
Yeah.
I think of both a man and a woman when they say an actor. When the SAG Awards, when they have the little interviews in the beginning, little talks in the beginning, they always say, "I'm so and so, and I'm an actor," whether it's a man or a woman.
Yeah.
So, but she is, and she is also a podcaster. Last December of 2018, she debuted Speak Easily. And I had the pleasure of being her first guest on that podcast. So welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to Whiskey Business.
Thank you.
Finally, the quid pro quo. I can't even say that. If I do it like Hannibal Lecter, quid pro quo, Clarice. Then I can say.
Well, that makes it a lot better and safe feeling. I'm just gonna keep drinking.
I said I would do yours if eventually you would do mine, and
Sounds-
here you are. So
yeah.
welcome.
He's not really helping his case.
No,
there,
not
is
at
he?
all.
Yeah.
No, keep going.
So
Yeah.
I have two choices here. I can approach this chat tonight from a very schmarmy, theatrical kind of way.
gosh, please,
and
would
go
you?
into
We love schmarmy.
much like inside the actor's studio, or I could approach it in the usual Dino Tripodis bourbonistic way of whiskey business. Which
Okay.
would you prefer?
Do you want a coin? I don't mind.
No, you're okay with the second
I
one?
didn't plan for anything. So
Okay,
yeah, let's
good.
do this.
So I'll get right to my first question.
Okay.
You're okay?
Yeah.
With either one of them?
Yeah.
All right. When did you lose your virginity? On stage.
We went right there. What do you,
Yeah.
First time on stage.
First time on stage.
1986. Aurora, Colorado.
Aurora, Colorado.
Pirates of Penzance.
That was your first time.
Yeah. Yeah. I
On
was
stage.
That was my first acting.
Acting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there were ballet recitals before that, but I only dance at weddings now, so we're not going to talk about those. But yeah, Pirates of Penzance, my dad was directing. I think my mom played piano in the pit, and my sister and I were cast as townspeople.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Your dad was directing.
Yeah.
Your mom was involved. Your siblings were involved.
sister was involved,
Were you guys like,
The Von Trapps, no.
Yeah, we're
only-
a traveling troupe of some sort.
No, we stayed in Aurora. But no, both. Okay, so here we go. Mom is an opera singer by profession.
Right.
Dad went into music education, so he taught mostly middle school, high school music, vocal music. And then my sister and I were just, we didn't have a choice. I mean, we were kind of raised in it. So not the Von Trapps, but we did a lot of performing together. So
You didn't have to, flee the Nazis.
not not in 1986. and you're yeah, no, we
The
didn't do
Illinois
that.
Nazis.
Yeah.
She was in Colorado.
No,
it's
yeah.
Aurora.
Yeah.
Is it-
Aurora, Colorado.
Oh, there's an Aurora, Illinois. I was thinking the Blues Brothers. Come on,
yeah.
the Illinois Nazis.
And Wayne's
No,
World.
sadly, I'm from the one now that is associated with
Yeah,
the.
with the
Yeah,
shooting.
with the shootings.
Yeah, sadly.
I know.
But at that particular point in time, none of that mayhem
Nope.
existed, and you were doing the Pirates. What'd you play?
Townsperson. It's not a real role. But dad put us in. It was a high school summer production. I think it was shortly before we moved here.
Not a real role.
Not a real role.
So my daughter will be perfect.
She's just fake.
They needed a babysitter.
That's why you get into theater, is that you have constant babysitters down the line, no matter how. Yeah, see? I think my sister and I went on at the beginning, and we were dancing around in a circle, and then, the pirates are coming, and then we were off stage for a large amount of it. But we, of course, learned the whole show and would reenact it in our basement. My sister and I, because we're super cool.
After it was all said and done.
Yeah.
So you close to your sister?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
Yeah. Is she the older sister?
She's
the
older.
Oldest, the older
She's older.
sister. Okay.
Yeah.
So
2 years.
and does she do the same thing as you do? Is she an actress?
She's
or an actor?
She's a musician. She now teaches in Delaware. She teaches vocal music. So she did music education as well. And I went really far away from that and just did theater. Yeah.
I mean, let's not skip over the fact that you just kind of glazed over. My mother was an opera singer because, all of our moms are opera singers. What? Your mom was an opera singer?
She was. She started off as piano performance in college, and then they heard her sing, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, you shouldn't be doing piano." So she started studying opera in college. Graduated, got out, had kids, and then in '84 she did an opera competition when we still lived in Denver. That the grand prize was a 2-month study at the Graz Institute,
Which is
in Austria,
Oh wow.
to study with the other award winners from around the globe that had won these. I can't remember the name of it. Another opera person will tell you what it is, but I was young. So she studied in Graz for 2 months. While she was out there, she met Roger Stevens, who was the head of the OSU music department at the time. And during that time at home, Mom was staying home with us, and Dad was working for Frontier Airlines at Stapleton in Denver. And Roger basically said, "Becky, why don't you come out, finish your degree, get your master's, teach at Ohio State if you guys aren't stuck in Denver." So we moved out here in '87.
So that's how you came to make
how
roots
That's how we got
here
here.
in the great state of Ohio.
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of say in the matter because I was 7. So
Yeah, 7 years old in
Yeah.
'87. Yikes. Okay, that's.
I can't change it. I'm sorry. I didn't have a lot of say in that matter either. So
And you continued your education by going to
I
Audubon?
I stopped school at age 7. No,
No, but you went to a great
band
theater
took
school.
off.
I did. I didn't actually do a lot of theater growing up. We did mostly music. I did children's choir, Columbus Children's Choir, which is at the time was Columbus Symphony Orchestra Children's Chorus. So we were the elite singers in Columbus.
Yeah.
It was a great group, but I learned tons of music there. And I think probably one of the highlights at that point, we were selected as a group to sing with the Broadway tour of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Nice.
So they select children's choirs from each city to come in and play those roles. So I was barely of age. I think it was like 8 to 14, and I was turning 14 in about a month. But we got to perform with the Broadway tour company, work with great people, and that was kind of like, yeah, this is what I want to do.
So you have no regrets choosing this particular path, even though it was kind of influenced by your parents.
It wasn't, because you think of like the show moms and show dads, and that was never the case for us. They never pushed us into anything. My sister played the violin, I played the cello until I thought it wasn't cool anymore, which that I regret, because I wish I could still.
Cello's rad.
It really is, and it's, of all the stringed instruments, I think it's the greatest one to play. I played it because you could wear pants during the
'Cause
concert.
you have to sit down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to wear a dress. But yeah, they never pushed us into anything.
Comfort's a big deal for you. Pants as opposed to dress in your work.
Not anymore. But no, they just. Thanks. Yeah, let's veer off to that.
I'm going to play this instrument
wear
because I can wear pants.
No, because I was a tomboy. I hated dresses when I was a kid. I didn't want to wear them. I didn't like them.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What about now?
Yes, I will wear dresses too. This is an odd podcast conversation.
No,
We asked the dress pants question without all of our guests.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, do you also wear dresses?
I have.
Yeah. How'd that go? Feel good? Nice? Airy? Breezy?
Well, depending.
Beautiful?
Yeah, depending on the cut.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
You like the A-line?
Yeah, and the B.
This is where this goes.
I feel like the A and the B line. Is there a B line?
I don't know.
Is there a B line in dresses?
No.
No.
No. I don't know what the styles are. I just wear things.
I had to wear a dress for a commercial
Yeah.
one time back in the earlier days of
dress.
of radio
Okay.
when we were doing radio, when we were doing commercials.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was that?
The premise was I thought
You look pretty.
I thought
Look good?
Yeah?
I thought
Nice.
I pulled it off rather well.
Okay.
You shave your-
Heels?
Shave your legs?
I did not.
Heels?
I did not
No?
shave my
Did you wear
legs.
tights underneath?
What?
Tights?
Tights?
Hose?
No, I
hate
did
that word.
not.
Okay.
But I think I rocked it.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. It was-
Good.
yeah.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had no fear.
No.
No fear at all.
Okay.
And what was
was
the
comfortable.
premise? What was the premise?
Huh?
What was the premise?
What was the premise for the
You start-
commercial?
yeah, you
The
start-
premise
they
for the
actually told him
commercial
he didn't have
was
to.
Yeah,
but-
yeah. They're like,
Dino and Stacy.
two guys walk into a bar.
Dino and Stacy.
What if I'm in drag?
I'm gonna wear a dress. Every pitch
Because
is
Stacy
like.
had the same. Stacy had the same dress.
All right.
Yeah.
okay.
So it was like, you know.
Did you sing Sisters?
No, we did not.
Aw.
You know, Dino and
That would've been
Stacy,
fun.
you know, work so well together. Sometimes it's hard to tell the two apart. And I came in with the dress. That's whoever wrote it. That was the gag.
That was the gag. I'm in a dress.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was a popular little spot, and people, you know, it got some buzz at the time. You know, but
It was your legs, wasn't it?
yeah, I might have been. Yeah. My legs have gotten better with age.
Good. Good to know. Yeah.
I do. They have.
Do they? Is that what they do?
I have.
So I have that to look forward
I
to.
have. Well, I don't know about you, but you know, I've
But
just been
men's
fortunate.
legs in a dress look
Mine,
better
yeah,
than time. Okay.
yeah. I have spectacular calves.
Phenomenal. I'm really proud of you. This is great.
My point being is that I wore the dress. I had no fear. What scares you?
We're going right there.
Yeah. What scares you when you talk about
Oh,
your
I thought you
work?
meant like deep-seated fears.
Oh no,
like
no, we
heights.
can go there. But what scares
Okay.
you in respects to your work? You know, when it comes to taking on a role.
There's always the imposter syndrome feeling. There's always the I'm never good enough. Once you have the role, though, it's kind of like, okay, now you put the work in. A lot of times it's just getting the part.
Can I explore that for just a second longer, the
may.
whole imposter syndrome?
Yeah,
Because
you
our
may.
guest last week, George Kaliotis,
Yeah.
was on, and he talked about the same thing
Right.
when it came to auditions and whatnot, and being in a room full of other actors
Yeah.
and feeling that some of those people there were bigger and better than he was, and feeling
Oh,
like
yeah.
the imposter. But why? I mean, if this is what you studied for, if this is what you want to do, why would you consider yourself to be an imposter?
I think because there's only so much control you can have over what happens. You yourself can do a great job, but you still may be exactly what they're not looking for. And a lot of times in an audition, and I know film is different, but in a theatrical audition, especially musical theater, a lot of times you can hear what they're doing outside of the room. And you're sitting inside of the room, and I talk about this with my students, is like what you choose to do with your time in the audition room it makes a big difference. Make sure it's for you, but make sure you're not being an ass. Make sure you're not trying to show off. And if you have a conversation with somebody, make it about nothing regarding so you're scrutinized and constantly.
So in respects to that whole imposter syndrome, have you ever auditioned for a role, gotten it, and then said to yourself, oh shit, now what? You know,
Yeah, basically every time.
every time, really?
No, not every time. I know when I've earned a role, and I know when my work is really cut out for me, but I kind of set a standard for myself probably about 7 years ago that if I'm given the script ahead of time, I will learn it ahead of time and make sure that I know what I'm doing. Because I'm not always given a lot of time.
You're prepared.
Yeah. Yeah,
Now, you also teach.
I do teach.
You are the, what did we say? The
Artist educator.
artist educator at Catco. You
Yeah.
work with kids.
I do. All ages.
Yeah. Do you find that the fact is, does that conjure up memories of doing what you did with your parents? And
Not at all.
Is there any type of transference there? That you know, I kind of remember this, you know,
No.
doing this stuff with my parents, and now I'm doing it.
No,
with other
because
kids?
we didn't do stuff with our parents. I mean, literally, like the Pirates of Penzance, and then when we moved to Ohio,
That was a one and done.
with the whole fam. Yeah, the first show in Ohio, Mom was studying at Ohio State. We did Fiddler on the Roof there, 88, and my sister and I played the youngest two sisters, and Mom played Golda, the mother. But that was the last time we actually did anything together
As a family.
as a fam. But no, after that it was really my sister went the kind of the instrumental route and the vocal music route, and I went children's choir route, and and then started doing theater in high school.
So what exactly do you do as the artist educator at Catco?
I corrupt young minds.
Oh, wonderful. How's
I
that
do.
going?
See, you wanted that to come out,
How's
right?
that going? Is it going
It's great.
well?
No, I think
Are
that
you good at it?
Yeah, I don't know. The corruption or the teaching?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Then yes.
Aren't they one and the same?
They kind of are, really. I think the thing that I want my students to come away with is that what you will learn in acting, you can take with you to anything. The skills that you learn as an actor, you will, for any job, any future career, any interview, those skills you can take in makes you a better public speaker, makes you a better listener.
Confidence.
Yeah. Fake it till you make it. Improv, being ready for anything that comes up. Those are the skills that you learn for the stage. But then when you put it into real life stuff, then it's like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it prepares you for anything. So
Are the kids that are there, do they want to be there? Or are there parents, when we talked about the stage moms and the stage dads that are kind of pushing their kid thinking, this is the direction I want them to go?
For me, I've lucked out in that I would say 99% of the parents I've worked with have been very much just encouraging. And if they reach out to me, it's more just like, okay, what do we do now? What's the best method moving forward? They want to support their kids, but they're not pushing them. Mm-hmm. And I mean, again, I've lucked out a lot. But I think for me, it's honestly not being raised under a stage mom, that it's sort of like, if I do have a parent that is saying, okay, so, where do we go from here? I really think that he's made for blah, 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 and I really think that he should blah, blah, blah. It's like, great. What does he want? What does he want to do? So if I'm working with a private student, I'll meet with the parent and the student, but I ask the student, what do you want?
Right.
Just to make sure, because I have had
And
students
do they
in
know
the
at
past.
that age?
I tend to work with later middle school and high school kids.
Okay.
So I don't work with little ones so much. I have little ones. I don't need any more of that in my life. But I love you guys.
This is explicit content. They won't be listening.
Fuck. So the older ones start to.
Yeah.
At least to have some inkling, like, I'm really interested in this. I think the hard part is that we, as a society, set them up. Now the whole thing is like, I want to be a YouTube star. That's what, and my daughter, my 11-year-old, is even saying, like, that's her aspiration in life, is to be a YouTube star.
Well, that's what they're growing up with.
Right.
And that's what they're seeing, and that's what's influencing
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Influencing them.
Have you had that much already?
Hey,
Wow.
man. Yeah. Well, and I mean, to play the devil's advocate, I don't know if there's anything wrong with that per se, because that is our. I mean, I'm not comparing an Oscar-winning performance with somebody, but you have this platform with which you can do anything. Yeah, some people just open toys and do whatever, but you could also give this amazing performance. I don't think the YouTube part of that is the problem. I think the star part of that is the problem. I mean, just like anything else in that, where they say, I'm a musical theater actor, I'm going to go to Broadway. Like, that is the be-all, end-all. And that's where the problem is that isn't the be-all, end-all. Like, if you are really talented, you don't have to go to New York. If you want to do film, Hollywood is not the place where that all occurs. You know what I mean? There's so many places to do acting. And same with the YouTube stars. Like, make your YouTube channel. Have fun with it. You may not be a star. You may not ever make any money with this. But while you're doing it, you may learn that you like video editing. Right. And that's something that you end up doing. So it's hard when you get a kid that comes in and is like, my dream is Broadway. And I'm like, cool.
Okay.
Have you ever thought about directing? And those are the things that I try to pull out, because that's kind of what happened to me in college, was that I was not the performance actor. So I had to do a lot of stuff outside of the norm to find out what I wanted to do.
So you did not do a lot when you went to Otterbein, which has
did.
got a great theater program, famously renowned one, as a matter of fact, and a lot of great people have come out of that.
Absolutely.
That university. So you didn't do a whole lot of the actual acting when you were at Otterbein, as far as the productions go. So
no,
I'm kind of curious as to where that first step that came that turned you into the actor.
Yeah, me too. I don't know. No, but so at Otterbein, when I started, I wanted to do theater education, because I knew that there was something in me that had a knack for teaching and working with students. Okay. So I wanted to do theater ed. And when I went in, I still had to audition for the program, and they basically said, okay, so to do theater ed here, we don't have a specific program. So you have to major in theater, you have to major in education, and then you have to do a concentration in either English or speech. And I said, well, I don't
thank
really
you.
like speech.
That's too much.
Yeah, I said, I don't really like
Communications
speech.
it is.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. And that's what I told them was
Yeah,
like,
that's a lot.
yeah, like, wow, I don't like speech, but I really hate English. So let's do speech.
Yeah.
And so I did my first year at Otterbein. It was like a triple major, taking education classes, taking theater classes as a BA. That was where not the challenge, but that was where I guess I didn't realize what that felt like at Otterbein, because if you are not a BFA actor, chances are you're not going to end up on the main stage. So after a year of not getting cast, but yet getting cast in every single senior directed workshop that was going on because they could cast BAs, I spent a year thinking, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. I was blessed to go into Westerville North and observe and work with high school students, and I loved it. And it was like, I never want to teach in a school. So it was a great experience that really showed me I don't want to be here. There's too many politics. That was actually the year that Columbine happened, so that was scary.
Right.
To experience the change in just the high school atmosphere during lockdowns and things like that. Yeah, so I re-auditioned for the BFA program at the end of my freshman year, and they said, yeah, talent-wise, you're fine. We have the class filled up, so if anybody drops out over the summer, you'll be in. And nobody dropped out over the summer. So it was like, you know what? This is what I was supposed to do. So I went back sophomore year, and, surprisingly, somebody dropped out midway through. So they invited me to join in their scene acting classes. So for the rest of my college career, I think it went better for me because I do tend to go in different directions. So I was able to take acting classes with the BFA kids, and I was able to do an independent study in stage makeup and take a Shakespeare study with one of the best instructors that we had. So all of these things I kind of called the shots on.
Right.
Because I was a BA and I didn't have to take all-day intensive classes for the conservatory.
When that started, when you got a taste of it, as far as that, is that when you said, hey,
No.
Still
No, I graduated early from Otterbein, and I moved to Kentucky and did work on homes for low-income families. Because that's what you do after you graduate.
Okay, so
Yeah. No, I went away from it completely because I thought I was not good enough to be an actor.
So I have to. I'm gonna keep asking until I land on it.
Okay.
What drew you back and brought you on stage as an actor for the very first time that you considered to be a professional moment debut? What was it? Where was it?
2008. Ian Short, who went to Gahanna and also to Otterbein. There are a few of us that did that same path.
Right.
I ran into him at a funeral, sadly, but I just said, I miss it. I want to get back involved. And he said, hey, my buddy and I just started this theater company called Available Light. We're holding auditions with a new company called Evolution Theater Company. You should come out. So that was 2008. I had a 1.5-year-old at home. Did a monologue, got called back, and got the lead in Little Dog Laughed, which was an incredible show. Great people within it, and it was like, oh, why did I wait to do this? So 2008, I did a couple shows that year. Did one in 2009, got knocked up again, took a little time off. Is that bad? Should I not say that?
No, it's refreshingly
Sorry.
Honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get knocked up again. Like the way you say it's like you had no choice in the matter, which sounds bizarre.
I mean, there was alcohol involved. I mean, I probably remember it, but
I'd say that's more
Sorry,
a
honey, I
pleasant
love
way
you.
to say it than your husband's
Yeah.
thinking even.
he's
so,
like,
yeah.
wow, that's awful. And then when the children watch this year's down the line.
Right.
So then after my son was born, 2013, I auditioned for Catco for the first time. So that was sort of the first professional
Okay.
acting gig.
But leading up to it, a lot
Yeah.
of great stuff leading.
Yeah,
leading
there was some
up
good
to
stuff
it,
leading up to it.
and you haven't looked back, really.
Sometimes I do.
Sometimes you look back and
Yeah.
what? How?
No, it's
As far as the experiences, or I mean,
There's-
you're still moving forward, is what
yeah,
I'm saying.
absolutely, absolutely.
You
Because
have
there's
no
something
intentions
new.
of giving this up.
No, no, and I think that as a teacher, I need to be relevant. If I'm telling these kids about auditioning, I should be auditioning. If I'm telling them about these are tactics to try, I need to be doing the fucking work. You know what I mean? Ooh, this is kicking in. I'm saying the F words. Fuck. So but that's just it, is that I don't want to be irrelevant to what they are seeing. And to me, a good teacher is one that's still learning herself. So
Experience is more valuable than anything you
Yeah.
can find in a book. For
This
sure.
Yeah.
might not be a fair question, but I'm kind of curious.
Goody. Okay.
As far as your opinion goes, now most of your work is on stage. You said you haven't done a lot of on-camera work. Yeah, I've seen
A little
you've done
bit
some
here and there.
commercials here and there. But
Yeah.
do you think that the theater is far more generous to a woman as far as roles than say Hollywood? Because in Hollywood they always talk about how women reach a certain age, and and then it's
Yeah.
harder for older women to get parts in Hollywood. I mean, that's been the rap on that particular thing. Is the
Yeah.
theater more generous?
I think the main difference is that in theater, you have different facets of it. On film, you have film. You're going to be on the camera. That's the only option. In theater, you can do a regional theater. You can do an off-Broadway. You can do a small local community theater gig. It just depends on how professional you want to go with it. So if you are, for me, I need to get paid to do what I do. So there's only certain places I can work at this point. There's a lot of roles that are out there, but it requires okay, am I cool to not get paid or to get paid a stipend? And that's just me, because I have a family and I have work and I need to be paid for what I do. So, but I think in a way it is more generous. You just have to decide how professional or I don't want to say unprofessional, but how much you want to get paid. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. But for Hollywood,
I meant as far. I guess I meant more like in the fact that in the roles and
it's less of a look.
yeah.
For sure. I mean, because if you're playing, if you're 60 years old and there's a 60-year-old part, you don't have to look one specific way. You can be a
Right.
different color. You can be a different height. There's a little more leeway on that because you're on a stage, as opposed to on a camera where it's like, nope, we need a specific look. That is a 60-year-old woman.
This is me on the outside looking in, so I'm kind of fascinated by the process. 'Cause
Yeah.
Like I said in the beginning, I haven't done it.
Right.
So how much does it really change from night to night with a role and a character? I mean, what are some? Do you discover nuances as you go through
You
a run?
should.
You should.
You should.
You should.
If you're doing it right, you should.
So you should find little things that you can tweak and do differently. And does that keep it fresh?
It
for you?
should.
It should. So if it doesn't, are you doing it wrong? Are you doing
No,
it badly?
because
are you
because-
walking through it?
With the stage, every night's going to be different because you have a different audience and you have different things going on, and you have an actor that's had a horrible day coming in, and that's going to affect their performance. Therefore, it's affecting your performance.
I can understand that as far as stand-up goes. Yes,
Yeah.
if the crowds are different every night or every week, and something can affect you before you go up on stage. I've experienced that. But as
Yeah.
far as what you do, you even while you're in the midst of it on stage, have you ever has there ever been a little bulb that's gone off in your head?
Yeah.
Like,
I've never noticed that before. Yeah.
I have never, yeah, and now I make a mental note. But then again, how do you make a mental note when you have to stay in the moment with the lines and so forth and
It's-
so on? And oh my God,
yeah.
it's
But it's not.
as I said before, nothing but respect and admiration for what you guys do.
I feel like we're in Karate
on
Kid.
the stage. Seriously, I am constantly mesmerized by that process.
I think because you haven't done it. I really, truly think the only reason that you say that is because you haven't tried it.
no, I think I'd still say
You've
it.
never been in a play?
No,
Never. Like a real theater production?
not that I'm aware of.
Because the thing is that, all of these things that you say,
You sure?
Pretty sure. I'm pretty
Okay,
sure.
okay.
I'm trying to remember.
one time
That
with
one
the-
time. Remember that one time you did a
remember
play?
that whiskey that
Remember
was
that
really
one time
bad?
you did a
and-
play?
Yeah.
It ran for 2 weeks and you were in it? No.
No?
No,
Bad
I
bad
haven't.
phase. All that you're describing, though, is active listening. Because what happens when you're on, you've got to be listening. Things are going to change. Things are going to be different. So it's just literally staying in the moment. It's not making a mental note. It's that in that moment, you're listening to what the other actors are doing. You're listening to what's happening. You're listening to the laughter. So it's just active listening and responding to that.
How deep do you go into a role when you get one?
I do a lot of pre-work.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an acting philosophy.
I would love to hear it, please.
Uta Hagen.
Uta Hagen. Okay, now I
It
know
may be
that-
Hagen.
I know
Uta
that name.
Hagen. Uta Hagen. I just like saying it. This is good stuff. The
Love her yogurt. Kidding.
sorry.
Uta Hagen.
What?
Uta Hagen-Dazs.
Oh yeah, no, that didn't work
I
at
know.
all.
I know.
No,
That's
that
the
fell.
worst dad joke I think
was-
I've ever heard you tell.
When a dad joke fails that you don't even understand it, that's pretty bad.
Come on, Dino.
when the whole
I
Stick with the
apologize.
theater.
if you
I
have to
apologize.
explain your dad joke, it's not good.
I apologize. Tell me her philosophy.
There are 9 questions, and people have developed it into like lists and lists of questions, but it's digging into the character to make the character a part of you.
Mm-hmm.
So you get as much information as you can from the script, but then you can fill in the other pieces. So that's kind of the pre-work, and really what we have to figure out is the overarching objective, the why. Because the character has a why. There's a reason that they're speaking everything they're speaking. There's a reason that they're on stage when they're on. There's a reason they're off when they're off. So it's digging in and incorporating yourself into that character.
See, I find that amazing, but I also find it very scary and overwhelming.
The beautiful part is that the information that's in the script you've got. So it's almost like you have a guide to so much, and the rest of it you can make up. You just have to believe it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know the era that the character's in, you can figure out, okay, but they were born in blah, blah, blah in this year. And we know how old they are, so you know what year they were born. Okay, so they were born here. Who were they born to? So you figure out the family relationship. Do I have anything from the script that says anything to that? No. But I can figure out if this character is majorly screwed up, what happened in my childhood that brought me to this place of remorse and guilt and all of that stuff. So it's weird. We're
It'd
weird.
be fun, too.
It is. And it's not, and that's the beautiful part when I work with students is like, why are you saying this? And they're like, I don't know. No, figure out why you're saying this. But I don't know. You got to figure that out and you have to believe it.
Yeah.
Because if you believe in what you are speaking, it portrays on, not necessarily that the audience is like, oh, she was abused as a child by her uncle. They may not know that. But if I know that in my mind and that's what affects me in that
affects
moment,
how you do
then
what
I
you
am
do on
believable in
stage.
what I do. Yeah.
Do you get attached to your roles?
No.
No.
I don't remember a show once it's done.
Really?
No.
Because that was one of my questions.
No.
Is there any type when you finish a run?
Yeah.
And you're done, do you get sad?
I get sad because I'm saying goodbye to the people and the experience.
Yeah.
But I don't hold on to roles.
No?
Mm-mm. No.
So is there any? One of my other questions was: has there been any roles that you wish you could go back and do again?
Oh, yeah.
Townsperson, too.
What?
The pirates are coming! The pirates!
Townsperson number 2.
I believe
back to the pirates
Townsperson number
event.
2 was my... When I die, it's going to be my swan song.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
Towns-
saying,
No.
roles that you've done that you'd like
Yeah.
to take another crack at.
Yeah.
And for what reason? Because you enjoy doing it, or because you think you could do it better?
I can do it better. I can make it different. It's... Especially if you have a different cast or different people.
It's a whole different energy, right?
Yeah, it really is. It makes a huge difference. So,
But once you're done, you're done. You walk away.
sadly, but again, for me, it's the people and the experience that I miss, as opposed to, oh, I can't wait to become this person every night. But that's because I'm an extrovert and I take in the experience more so than just the role.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Does it affect you? Does a full house as opposed to a light house make any difference on your energy on stage? I mean, you peek out there, oh man, we're packed tonight, and you peek out there like there's only 4 people.
That's happened.
Does it
Yeah.
mentally affect you?
Yeah, it does. It does. And I try not to let it once you get out. But I mean, if you've got 12 people and they're laughing hysterically, that's amazing. And if you've got 80 and they're silent, it's like, oh, okay. But you can't. We do. I mean, we all say we don't, but you can't let it affect you. But it does. You know, we're human.
Yeah.
Like, laugh for me, please.
But you don't.
I don't say that now.
But you don't work any less harder.
I would like to say that I don't, but I think it naturally happens sometimes too. Because when you come back, you know, when you're sitting backstage and the other actors come back and they're like, ugh, they're dead out there. It's just a sinking feeling, or it's like, ugh, nobody's here. It's hard. It's hard to separate yourself from that.
It's harder to make 4 people laugh in stand up than it is,
right?
400.
Yeah.
It's because in that particular world, there's people feel comfortable being in a large group, and when they laugh, there's other people laughing with. There's nobody. You don't really know who the laugh leader is.
Weird about
4 people. If I laugh, then they're not laughing.
Ooh, was that bad? Should I have done anything? Yeah.
And they kind of clam up. It is kind of a societal type of interesting thing to observe.
It is. Yeah. And, contrary to popular belief, it's not like, oh, I don't see the audience. No, I freaking see the audience. I know who's there. I take a peek out. I want to see who's there. And a lot of actors don't. They're like, oh, don't tell me when somebody's in the audience. I don't want to know. I'm like, tell me when you're coming, because I'll do a better job knowing you're there. But that's the people pleaser in me. So, yeah.
The people pleaser in you?
Oh, yeah.
Why, is that what you
Severely.
Is that part of your nature? You like to be a people pleaser?
Yeah. I feel like I'm on a psychiatrist's couch now. Yeah.
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 No, seriously.
No, I do. I don't.
I get it. I get
know.
it. I get very stressed out if someone's disappointed in me.
Yeah.
So, I feel a need to sometimes, cover all the bases and make everybody happy.
Yeah, I do too.
So does that translate into your work as well, obviously? Yeah, I mean, in life and work?
Yeah, it does. It does, I think. Trying to be the best all the time. Trying not to disappoint. Trying to give 100% when I'm in there instead of letting my day. And there's been a lot of experiences where stuff outside of the theater is not going well. Mm-hmm.
And does that affect?
I can't let it.
But does it?
I think one of the most interesting experiences was probably, what year was that? 20, I don't know. I've had alcohol. A couple of years back, we did Cats at CCT. I am not a dancer, so that was, and we were in spandex. Dear Lord, no.
Wait a minute. Earlier you said you love pants.
Yeah, not spandex. There's a difference between pants and spandex.
No.
Yeah, don't find out, because it's not fun. It's terrible. Gracious.
Don't they make spandex pants?
I will never forget. This shouldn't come on the podcast.
It could be on the
It's
podcast.
on the podcast.
It's on.
The first time that I got the costume to try on, I couldn't go out of the dressing room.
Because?
My director was like, can you just come out? Like, nope. He goes, what's wrong? I was like, it's a little small. He's like, yeah? I said, you know that animal in the desert that has humps on it? I'm not coming out. My students are out there. Yeah. So the spandex brings people together. Anyway, back to where I was. Because we had to bring a camel toe into
You were
this,
doing Cats. You're not a dancer.
Not
I'm
a dancer.
Sorry, yes.
No, we were doing Cats, which was, we had an amazing ensemble. We all really gelled. We had a great performance. It's hump day.
It's hump day.
And I'm picturing all of them on stage dancing.
Right. Aren't you glad we brought vaginas
Nobody said the word. Everybody was just having a moment to themselves. I think they're talking about vaginas.
I feel uncomfortable right now.
John Whitney.
You weren't in the spandex.
Yeah, you're wearing slacks
Right.
over there, buddy.
Right.
Yeah, John Whitney.
Yeah.
Do you find that your vagina is troubled with the wearing of spandex?
And many of
Yeah. Do we need to talk about that? So anyway. Oh my gosh.
So how do you like the whiskey?
It's really warm. Am I getting pinker as we go along? Okay, so but no, you asked like,
Yes, I
is
did.
it possible to separate from something? And that actually was really kind of an interesting experience. Do you want me to say vagina again? We the week before we opened on a Thursday, and the Thursday before, my granddad, who was basically a second dad to me, went into hospice. So it was kind of just like, oh, shoot. And I remembered like really thinking and praying, like, please just let him make it through the run, because I didn't want to have to deal with that during that time. So he went into hospice for real on the Monday. We opened Thursday. Phenomenal opening night. It was great. Like, packed house. The show was amazing. And I went down right after the show to get out of makeup and to get out of the wig. And I picked up my phone and I had a message from my cousin that said, hey, just wanted to know if you know details about Granddad's funeral.
Oh, man.
I'm thankful I saw it at the end of the show,
Right.
that I didn't check my phone during the show. But Granddad died opening night. Yay, alcohol makes you cry. But immediately everybody knowing that night was so helpful, because I told a couple people, which they spread around. It was like, I gotta go, I can't go out. Went home, because I called home, and my husband's like, when are you coming home? I said, what happened with Granddad? When are you coming home? So it was just kind of like trying to get details. And yeah, so coming back the next night, and the
Right.
role that I played in the show I played Jelly Lorem, and she sings a song called Gus the Theater Cat. And my good friend Stuart played Gus, who is an aging, very much aging cat. And from the beginning, and I had always seen that as Granddad. And my sister had too, so my sister came and saw, like the next week, she's just sobbing when all of this is going on. But it was always because he sings in the song, he has the tremors.
Right.
That makes his paws shake. And Granddad had tremors for such a long time. So it always made me think of him. So having to go in, and even Stuart knew that this character I based around my relationship with my own granddad, to sing that song where Gus is essentially close to death.
Right.
And really relishing his time that he was in the theater in his youth. So it was enough. The first couple of nights, I literally had to just shut myself off to that. It was like, no, I can't be Krista in this moment, because you want to bring a part of yourself into every role you do.
Do
but
you?
Yeah, I do. But at that point, I did have to literally shut off. And there were a couple moments where it's like, I need to mentally just shut off, because I can't. Theater should not be therapy in any way.
But
It can be.
But does it unconsciously become that?
I think it unconsciously brings things up that you should take to a therapist. I do. No, I really do. I don't think.
You're talking to a stand-up comedian here.
Yeah. I
Right?
mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people say that we who go up on stage and do stand-up are, pretty much that audience is our couch, sometimes.
Right. And I think that while theater should be cathartic, and while it should help you work things out in your life, it's not therapy, because there's nobody there. It's great. And I remember times in college where you're digging into these characters and you're sobbing because you're bringing up stuff that is so painful from your past to put into a character.
So
and
how's that not therapy?
Because then they're like, then use it. But then it's just there. It's just sitting. It's not solving it. It's bringing it up and putting it in the air just to hang there. And that's not therapeutic. That's bringing stuff up and not making
Resolving.
it any
There's
better.
no resolution.
No.
So the show's going to be over and you're still going to be...
You're still having,
yeah.
So it's, first off, every actor should be in therapy no matter what, because we are bringing stuff up. I am, thank you. But to be able to bring something, so like with that show, dealing with the death of my granddad during that time, like he passed on opening night. His funeral was the night before we opened again the next weekend. So it was just like bringing it up, but then having this realization of like, though I put him in this position, this isn't my granddad. And I can mourn, and I can allow, by the second weekend, I allowed myself to be just a little bit in touch with that, to mourn on stage. But I was mourning the loss of the cat character. So I could transfer it back. It wasn't that I was having my sobbing moments over
You
my
weren't doing
granddad.
a full transference. Of
No, I don't
grandpa-
think that's safe. Because first off, granddad's not a cat. He never was. And that shouldn't be the way it is. And it's also like, I'm dealing with the death of a human. And even though there are traits in this character, it's not my granddad. It's completely different.
Can I just?
Yeah, man, go ahead.
Yeah.
Not to, I guess.
Good question.
The answer is yes.
Okay, great. No, I don't want to offend actors, real
You
actors.
won't. No, we're a mess. Go ahead.
Because what I'm thinking about in my head is Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
And she has this performance, and there's this. I never saw the movie, but there's this great performance, and she says that she did it. But I feel like that is something different because you're on film. You do it once and you're done.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you kind of were like brushing off. Do you know what I'm talking
I know
about?
what you're saying, yeah.
But you
Where
kind of
did
brushed
she,
off.
What did she draw from? Did she bring her own emotional experiences
and you say you brush
into
it
the
off
role?
like the, use it. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's got to be.
No, you do use it to a certain degree. I think you can use it to the point of, I understand where this character is coming from with this hurt and this pain. Let me
But
make
it's not
sure that let me make sure that if it is affecting me, that I have somebody that knows what they're talking about to go to about it.
Right.
Sure.
Weird example, and this isn't completely related,
Does it
but
involve Lady Gaga?
it's not Lady Gaga.
Okay.
I had a
It
great.
might be the first time we brought Lady Gaga into whiskey business,
well,
by the way.
maybe you have a bad romance you want to talk about.
Oh, hey, good dad joke.
I'm not a dad. For the record, I'm not a dad. I'm a mom.
All right.
In college, I had a voice teacher that worked with a lot of musical theater majors. She's an opera singer herself. And there was a song, what was it? Sunday Kind of Love,
Sure.
which is kind of a jazzy tune. And for some reason, there was this, I think I'd just broken up with some, I'm sure, really deep college relationship
douchebag.
that
Yeah,
you
let's just say
basically,
douchebag,
let's
yeah.
go ahead and say douchebag. You guys know who you are.
You guys, plural.
Shh, we're not going to talk about that.
This is the couch.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
possibly. But there was, this song brought up something really awful, and every time I sung it, I sobbed. Like even in lessons, I would start just sobbing. And she finally stopped, and she's just like, I really like that you're connecting with this, but if you can't get through it, don't do it.
Fair enough.
If you are so connected to it that you yourself can't break away from it to put it into a box, it's a weird balance. But
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not even. Like I said, I haven't even seen the movie, but you know
Yeah.
that you just see all the press on Gaga. And she's like, "Oh, I was Ally for months. I'm still getting over the Ally." And I know I know she's very
Yeah.
dramatic,
Yeah,
and that's her
she's a bit
gig.
much, but
but
yeah.
I guess the point is I guess a true actor. That's
Yeah.
really not. That's not the thing.
listen, I'm not a true actor though either. I mean, I dabble, but there are certain roles that you get yourself into, but I still think you've got to have a life outside of that. Like,
Well, and she's not. I mean, she's
a
nuts,
little bit
regardless.
much, but
But
She'd be
doesn't
nuts.
everybody have a different approach
everybody does.
Everybody
Mine
has
is
a-
completely different
than say, some,
because honestly, I think I am a little bit different. A lot of actors are introverts. A lot of actors will really spend a lot of time digging so much into their craft that they literally become the character. Method acting. I see that to a point, but I also see you have to still be a person when you walk out the doors.
so you don't consider yourself to be an introvert in life
at all.
at
No.
all.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
No,
Not
I'm
at all.
asking.
No.
Do you consider yourself to be an extrovert as a protective device? Is it easier to be an extrovert?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that-
Absolutely.
yeah.
I don't like alone time. I
No?
never have.
Oh, see, I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
you don't like.
Nope. I don't like quiet time. I don't like alone time. I don't want to meditate and do yoga. No. I want to punch things and have the music loud. Like, I want to talk to people. I want to do a group.
You feel you have to constantly be in motion.
Not emotional. No.
No, not emotional. In motion.
In motion. Thank
in
you.
motion, not
Yeah.
emotion.
Yeah. I don't sit still very well.
Yeah.
And if I am, I'm doing something that is distracting from just being. So it's probably very unhealthy. So
Not necessarily if it
my
works.
counselor has much more fodder to deal with.
your
Yeah.
counselor. So yeah, you mentioned you're in
good.
therapy.
Yeah.
Does it work?
Well, I just started back. I mean, it should be a constant thing. I don't really think that.
I've been in it.
Yeah.
I've worn out therapists.
Well done, you.
Over the yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
They
actually
turn them away.
I've actually had a therapist say,
I can't.
Yeah, I got nothing left. I
can't deal with you.
I need to send you to somebody at a different skill set.
Okay.
You know,
Call my colleague on this one.
I would take that. I don't think that's an insult. I would
No.
be like, thank you.
And he made a joke. He kind of made a joke, and when he said that to me, he reached into a drawer, and I go, and he said, "Is that my file?" He goes, "No, this is your drawer."
Just
And that was a long
take
time
it as
ago.
a compliment. It's fine.
I've made a lot of progress since those troubled times. But
I do think, as an actor, I think it is wise for actors to be in therapy because we are bringing up so much, and we do say you need to.
but it's not necessary. Do you think it's necessary?
Everybody's got junk.
Sure, but
Even if you don't have-
does everybody need to go to somebody else with their junk?
Not necessarily a therapist, but somebody that's enough outside of your situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like the one thing that I tell my college kids or going into college kids, make some friends outside of the theater department so that you know people that are not dealing with your day-to-day world 24/7.
So are you basically saying that what everybody needs is somebody else that has some objectivity,
Everybody wants somebody to love sometimes.
right?
Can I have some?
Some
Is that a song?
objectivity,
Is that a
somebody,
song?
No. It
should
somebody
be.
that can listen and not be emotionally attached or involved, and can maybe give you answers.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
You know.
And no, I fully think that it's huge, especially to have some people in your life that aren't involved in theater. Mm-hmm. My gosh, I mean, we have a flair for the dramatic, but it's also like my best friend in college was a dance minor, but a PR major, so she knew enough of the theatrical world to understand where I was coming from when I had frustrations, but enough to say, listen, there's life outside of here. Like,
There you go.
look at it from here. Like, take this perspective.
Now, I'm going to apologize to Hansberry. This one's going to. I'm looking at the clock, and it's. I'm
We're at
already
about an hour.
I'm already at an hour, but there's still some things I need to ask you.
We haven't
Yeah.
even touched the podcast.
No, I'm getting there. I was going to close with that.
Touch.
We just touched it, so we can move
Oh
on.
no, but I'm not going there yet.
I thought you were
I
drawing
want to go
like
because
penis pictures or something.
because
Numbers.
You kind of glazed over it a little bit, but I
I do
did
a lot
not.
of glazing.
Huh?
I glaze a lot.
You glaze a
Yeah.
lot. You like
Yeah.
to sing.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think you're a better singer than you are an
Oh
actor?
gosh, no.
No, but you
No.
love to sing, and you have a good voice.
Thank you.
You do. Yeah. Now, as far as the singing, is that intimidating?
Yes.
With the fact that your mother was
Yes.
is an opera singer.
Yes.
So does that?
Yes.
Is that like, oh, why do I even bother?
For a long time, I thought that was the only reason that I was making the choirs and making
I see.
because I was Rebecca's daughter.
Right.
And while I don't think that was the case, that's kind of what I always thought. And getting into Otterbein because she taught there. So that was.
So there's some self-doubt.
There was-
You never
yeah.
really think you earned it.
I've never
Once again, we
felt
come
good enough.
back to the imposter
Yes.
thing.
Yeah. That it was like, oh, because of your name. And because even to this day, people are like, oh, you're Rebecca's daughter if they know my mom. They're like, well, she must have trained you. No.
No.
We never studied together a day in my life.
Did she want to?
No. And I didn't want her to. Because that's not what you do. Like, I didn't want to be an opera singer. I wanted to do musical theater. And she's an opera singer. I wouldn't listen to her, and she wouldn't want to work with me. So we never worked together. She taught literally down the hallway in college when I took from my voice teacher in college.
Has she come to your performances and seen
Everyone.
your work? Yeah, everyone.
Everyone. Yeah.
So is she critical?
No. She never has been. She's extremely supportive, extremely loving. I mean, mom's phenomenal. And she's let me go my own way. And I think I appreciate that more is like, try it out. If you succeed, I'm so excited for you. If you fail, I'm so sorry for you. I know what that feels like. Mm-hmm. But it was never like, you need to try this avenue. You need to do this. I've probably done more shows that she's like, oh, Krista, that's a naughty show.
Well, you did the full Monty.
I did, but I kept my clothes on.
Yeah.
She wore spandex.
Shut up. There was no spandex.
Back to the spandex.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of Oh gosh, I hate cliche questions, but I am curious in respects to you when I say this. A favorite role?
That's not hard, actually. Probably the first favorite is always going to be
Don't say townsperson number 2.
townsperson number 2 in Pirates
that
of
wasn't the first
Penzance.
I'd like to go back and do that again.
Is this what you're going to call me? Like, you're going to see me in the street and you're going to call me, hey, townsperson number 2. You're so good on stage with your sister. The first professional show I got to do in Columbus was Avenue Q with Catco.
Oh, cool. Fun show.
Hardest I'd ever worked for an audition. And I was replacing somebody. So they did the show for a full run and they were revamping it the next year. And the lead gal, Carmen, was not able to come back. She was pregnant at the time. So all they had to replace was the lead role. Mm-hmm. They weren't auditioning. Everybody else was able to come back. So they auditioned for Kate Monster / Lucy the Slut. And that was my role.
And that was your. And that's your
That
favorite
is
one.
one of my. So when
That's
my
what I'm going to call you on the street.
Lucy the Slut.
I will
Hey,
throat punch
Lucy
you.
the Slut.
I think I'd rather be townsperson too at that point. So
Funny.
that not only getting into that show and making my first professional show, but my husband and I, when we got married, we went to New York for our honeymoon and we
Nice.
saw Avenue Q, which was still in its running at the time, still had a couple of the original cast members in it. So it was one of my favorite shows, something I worked really hard for. So Kate / Lucy the Slut in Avenue Q, definitely a favorite.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, would you prefer moving forward if if someone says to you, Krista, here's a dramatic role that we want you to do, but at the same time, here's also this great part in this musical that we want you to do. Which one do you choose?
I don't. I say, who's paying me?
Really?
No.
Your heart doesn't lean one way or the other.
Well,
but
first
because
off-
you love to sing.
I do, but there's always a part of me that feels more comfortable in straight acting.
Yeah.
There is. Singing, I feel like shows where I get to sing are a little bit easier because there's slightly less to learn.
Okay.
At least because you learn the music and then
Right.
parts in between. Whereas a straight play, you just have a lot of lines to learn through there.
Right.
I don't think I could decide. It would depend on the show and the role and the. Keeps pushing this ball.
He's just trying to get it into the camera.
No, I like that. That's not a decision I could make unless you said this show, this role versus this show, this role
I gotcha.
that paid the same. And
And how are you enjoying? Here we go, Hansberry.
Uh-oh.
I don't know.
I'm not wearing spandex.
How are you enjoying your role as a podcaster?
Oh,
Yes,
look at
yes,
that
thank you, thank you.
transition. That was good.
I was like, townsperson number 2? I don't know. I'm just really lost on that one.
I feel like that's all I am to you now.
And Lucy the Slut.
Yeah, Lucy the Slut. Wow.
My resume has just gone to shit.
How are you enjoing your role
Oh
as a
my
podcaster?
gosh.
Speak Easily.
It is so much fun.
Speak Easily is a wonderful podcast. Let me just say right out of the gate, you do a wonderful job.
A great name. It's kind of in tune with
Thank
the
you.
kind of the bar.
It is a
Oh,
good.
who gave that name?
Are you kidding me? You gave that? You named it? Did he name it?
I sort of named
Sort
it.
of, yeah. We tossed around some really what would have been super fucking cool names.
Yeah,
but
we did. And
Like, do you
but
remember
we-
any of them?
but
It
then
was
we-
something about
we-
Oprah.
That was a fun one. But but then you landed on. I don't think I said it was.
It won Speak Easy.
Speak
We started
Easy was
with.
it was, and then you
Yeah.
just changed, you put Easily, which is better.
Yeah.
But Speak
It's a
Easy.
spin on it, yeah.
Speak Easy was
Yeah.
what I said.
Yeah.
Initially, and then you went with Easily, but I like Easily better. And
I
so you
did-
just
yeah,
improved
because I didn't
on
want it to
whatever my
be-
thought was.
Like it only has to be about alcohol because that's not.
No.
And it
no.
hasn't been at
No,
all.
it has not.
No. And yeah.
Much like this one is not. A podcast not so much about whiskey as it is one.
That's a good tagline. You should use that sometime.
Yeah, I should. So yeah, Speak Easily is doing very well. You have great guests. I had the pleasure, we mentioned this, of being your first
Yeah.
guest.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
We've had
I think-
everybody has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
Every single guest.
well,
blown me
you're
away.
doing a phenomenal job.
Oh,
I
I'm
mean,
just
no. You talk.
talking.
No. You talk about progression. In getting better at something. I was your first guest, and I tried to make it as easy as I
Yeah, you threw me off.
as I could.
Talked about a plug in the wall vagina.
Again, we come back to vagina.
Vagina. We said
come
it
back
again.
to
We broke the record for vagina and whiskey
This is like
business.
4
This is
times,
great,
isn't it?
at least.
Okay, this is why I bring the
I'm gonna have a
femininity
tally.
on
I
here.
didn't mean to throw you off. I was making.
No, it was great.
I was making a Jaws reference.
It was well done, really.
And
It was very well done.
Whitney's trying to figure out how does a plug in the wall vagina relate to Jaws?
but somehow
you
it
have to listen
does.
to that first podcast, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to find out how. But
But I also think that it only threw me off because I was stupidly nervous for it. And you even chastised me. Like, there's no reason to be nervous. Like, this is just
I didn't
make it.
chastise
Yeah, no,
you.
you didn't
I
chastise
didn't
me. But it was
chastise you.
kind of like, you're gonna be fine.
you're going to be fine, and you have been fine. You've been great.
Thank you.
So people, you should listen to Speak Easily with Krista Stauffer. As well as far as podcasts, because she does have very interesting guests, and you're doing a great
We
job.
do. We've had amazing people on there.
Yeah. Do you like being? Are
my
you enjoying?
gosh.
Are you enjoying that role?
It is the highlight every time I get to do it.
Fun, isn't it?
It really is. And it's not. I think part of it is that because Ben, who's my producer, is so supportive, and we've been friends since 9th grade. Like, it's not a challenge. It's not hard. And the people that have come out of the woodwork, my stepdad asked to be on my podcast.
That's
So-
nice. I'm trying to convince my mother to
My
be
mom is going to be on mine.
on my podcast
For Mother's Day?
She's coming up from Florida for Greek Easter. So
Yeah, you need to get her recorded.
I need to have her sitting where you're sitting.
Yeah.
And ask the hard questions.
What are you going to push whiskey down her throat?
I'm not going to push whiskey down her throat. She'll
do her own.
she'll do it on her own. I'll have to make her a highball. Make me a highball, honey.
What's that?
A highball is just a whiskey. The 7-7 is Seagram 7
Okay.
and 7-Up.
That's what my granddad used to drink.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
since we've had Seagram's 7 on the show, we'll probably go with another cheap whiskey like Canadian Club.
Okay.
And,
Yeah.
and 7-Up.
I think I've had that before.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that with Mom, and then we'll get her all loosened up, and I'll be able to fill in some of the holes of my childhood that
Oh, gosh.
are black.
Talk about therapy.
Seriously.
Yeah. Episode 6.
Sorry, Mom. I'm sorry.
So you know I was right. You never loved me.
So you know how we talked about that, bringing that stuff up and talking it out with somebody that
Right.
may be something wise to plan for.
I had 4 with my
To
mother.
plan for afterward, yeah.
Oh, what?
A therapy session.
That'll be fine. It'll
So,
be
yeah.
good.
No,
It'll be good.
podcasting is brilliant. So, and you were a huge supporter from the beginning and influenced. No, you really were. You were.
And loosely, what's the? I mean, what do you talk about? What is it? Was there a loose theme, or
That's
you
the
just
funny.
whatever?
There's
There's
an
nothing,
There's a barely there theme.
which is
She talks to interesting people
We just talk
easily.
easily.
You speak
The
easily.
the only question, and he said at the beginning, just plan out a couple of questions to ask every guest and go from there. And I had a list of 3 questions to start with,
That's all I have.
and I've never done those 3 ever again. The only question that I ask every guest is, how did you get to Columbus? Because for some reason, I want people on there that have a Columbus connection. And so either how did you come here, or how did you get here, or what's your story here?
And I think that's a great device to
Yeah.
include in
Yeah.
every podcast. I think that works out wonderfully.
Because we had the cast of the opera. I did an opera with Opera Columbus, and the people that were on the podcast, there were only 2 of us that were even from Ohio. I was the only one from Columbus, but we had one from Philly, and we had one from initially from Iowa, but now Los Angeles. And the composer was from Ohio for a little while, but she lives in Seattle now. So it was just kind of like, you're not really in Ohio, but we were doing an opera about the Columbus area. So there's something that, and the cool thing about the podcast is we've had people from all over. We have a constant listener from Barbados. So
Yeah.
whoever you are, like,
We have that too.
That's amazing.
We've had we've got people that listen in England, and one was
Yeah.
in Australia. I
I
think.
wonder how they find it, but thank you for finding it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, I don't know why you care about Columbus. There's one guy that is
I don't
on
even
our.
think it's about Columbus
No,
per
just
se,
the
because
stories.
it's
Yeah.
the people you interview and their stories.
Yeah.
They just happen to be in Columbus, and,
Right.
and that question, what brought you to,
Yeah.
is a great running
Yeah.
theme as far as one question, but you get into so many other fun things. You're doing a great job with it. You really
Thank
are.
you, sir.
Do you like being a guest? Not as much as being.
No, this is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
You told me, and I'm gonna bust you out.
Thank you.
You told me you were reluctant to do this because you didn't think you could bring anything to
I
the whiskey
don't.
business table.
I don't. I'm just me.
Well,
Like-
you know what? I like just me's. I like just me's. Talking to just me's. It doesn't have to. I have found out. We're friends, and I have found out
Yeah.
a lot of other things
Yeah.
about you through this podcast.
Right.
That I didn't know.
Right, and I found the same with you.
Yeah.
But
So it's interesting.
it is.
And also, you're not a whiskey drinker.
Am
But
I not?
you do have a nose and a palate for
I
wine.
have one. It's right here.
Yes, I know. Look at me. Look at my nose. Here it is. No,
Dad
but
jokes.
wine is your thing.
Wine is my thing.
But this
was my thing.
Was your thing,
Yeah.
but it's still in your skill set.
It's in my system for life.
It's
yeah.
in your skill set. You can, a good bouquet.
There are 4 steps to wine tasting. The see, the swirl, the sniff, and the sip.
Okay.
And I would think that whiskey
Not that
would
much
probably-
different.
Right.
So, did you pick up any notes when you were drinking?
Okay,
the
so the
whiskey?
harder part of this is there's an ice cube in it. So
Right.
I can't.
Right. But sometimes the ice
Caramel.
cube. Sometimes the
It's sweet off top, yeah.
Yeah.
It is a very sweet. It is a sweet bourbon.
So I do know that when you're sniffing it, I will do my best to. So the swirl we can't do. The swirl is essentially to aerate, which puts the
legs.
the legs you want to check. That's the C. The legs are going to tell you typically on a wine. They're going to tell you the sugar content or the alcohol content. So that's what you want to look for. I don't know if it's the same. When you do the swirl, you're oxygenating. You're putting out that into the glass so that you
yeah.
can
Sometimes
get the real sniff out.
the ice or the water and opens
can affect it.
opens it up.
It
sometimes.
does open it up.
It can open some.
Do you mind
up,
pouring
yeah.
me a little more while I talk about the steps of wine tasting? Look at what's happening
at
here.
this.
This is bad.
Let's see. You can.
So,
you,
yeah.
You can pour your own. Go ahead.
Oh, gracious me.
Go ahead. You decide.
Go,
Okay,
go,
so
go, 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 go.
Nothing like this at all.
You go ahead, Lucy.
This is not. Okay, we can end this right now. All right. So
In comedy, we call that a callback.
yeah. In acting, we call that "fuck you." When we.
Oh, I get the fuck you. He says it 3 times, but you leave the charming producer. You don't give him any shit at all. You throw it back on
He's
me.
producing. He is
Yeah.
making this happen.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
just talking.
I'm just talking. That's
I
all
have
I
a
do.
producer who can
That's
shut me off at any time.
There's one button. I just got one button to push. That's all. That's all I need.
When I text you that day, Johnny, Dean, why don't you just talk? That's what you do. That's what you do well.
just
don't
talk.
worry
Just
about
don't
the
do
technical
anything
aspect.
else. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
just
when
talk
you
pretty.
Okay, going back to really getting a taste of
You
this.
told me to fuck you. She
I
said-
love you. Shut up.
She said fuck.
Oh my gosh. I didn't say fuck me. I said
First I said fuck you. You said fuck you.
no. There's a big difference. So when you sniff, when you do the wine sniffing, and I'm going to try this with the whiskey because I think it's different.
Okay.
When you sniff, you're supposed to actually sniff continuously from the top of the rim down because it's pulled the flavors out enough.
Right.
And it does that with this too. So I smell
Yeah,
different
look at
flavors from the
that.
top
Yeah,
down.
we also do, but we also
Open
have
mouth,
open
so,
mouth.
yeah,
We have
yeah.
open mouth.
Yep, so that you get the full both senses at the same
When
time.
you're sipping. So yeah, I think that you would do very well in distinguishing certain
What do you
things
do?
that are involved. You would pick up on
What'd you
banana
take in?
and nuts and the sweetness. You would. I think if you continued to drink,
Banana, really?
I do.
I like
personally.
that. Sure, I could see that now.
A little bit of banana. And
it's
sweet
hard because
and
when
nutty.
when I drink wine and I let it slide over my tongue, I can taste more. This is just more like,
Boom, bam.
yeah.
The aftertaste is more where you kind of get that.
Because with wine, you want to let it slide over all sides of your tongue to make sure you're getting
Sure.
the bitter and the salty and the sweet. This is like on every ounce. So I can still actually feel it on the sides of my tongue when I just did that. That's why I'm blinking my eyes consistently. Can you see this? This is good. Yeah. There's a little more alcohol in there than there is wine there. Yeah.
So
Okay.
as we start to.
Are you going to do the sniffing?
he's gonna do it all. All right. As we,
Do you want to sniff? Should we sniff
banana,
together? Top to the rim
banana.
down?
Okay.
It really does, though, doesn't
it does. Yeah, it's a little
And now
different.
I actually
It's
smell
good.
banana this time. Now that you say that.
Well, I didn't mean.
You could also say school bus exhaust, and I would probably say the same
yes.
thing. So,
Cashew.
oh, let's see. People without deodorant. Yeah, there it is.
Oh man.
Yeah.
We
Get behind the line.
Thank you. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you.
This has been honestly, it's been delightful.
Thank you.
We want to thank Middle West Spirits
Come
for,
on the podcast.
for the straight wheated bourbon whiskey that
Yeah,
we've
it is
discussed.
phenomenal.
And I'll say it again. It is just a out
It's very good.
Mm-hmm.
front ploy just to get you folks on the podcast.
And I'm not a bourbon whiskey drinker at all. This is great. Like
nice.
it's not.
It's very nice. It's an award
Yeah.
winner too. It's an award winner. It won
they
the
have a new
silver medal.
bottle.
It won a silver medal.
Okay.
What?
No, keep going.
Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say they have a new bottle. You remember it used to be like the black bottle. Isn't that correct?
Oh, you talking about Oyo?
Yeah, that's something different.
That's
same,
different.
Same,
They're the
but
same?
different?
same people.
Oyo or OYO?
OYO.
It is OYO, right?
Yeah. OYO, Oyo, Yo-Yo.
But they've got to have a specific way that they say it.
Yeah, I bet
Yeah.
you they do.
I
You
bet
know
they
what?
do.
Great.
Maybe they
They
can
should
tell
come on,
me.
too.
They should tell me.
OYO/OYO.
I want to get OYO on and then Yo-Yo Ma. I want to get Yo-Yo Ma
At the
on.
same time?
At the same time.
OYO. Like that. Okay.
Congratulations also on some of the great productions you've already done
Thank you.
with the kids. You did
Thank you.
Lion King.
I did
you
Lion
did
King.
Seussical the Musical. What's coming up next?
Annie Kids will be in the fall.
Annie Kids. in the
Annie
fall.
Kids.
Nice.
And then in the spring will be Schoolhouse Rock.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited about that.
I'm just a bill, only a bill, and I'm
it that?
sitting on
Yes.
Capitol
Or
Hill.
Yeah.
It's not the Jack Black Schoolhouse Rock.
That's School of Rock. this is
of Rock,
Schoolhouse Rock.
yeah.
So all of the
I don't know.
70s cartoons.
Yeah.
How old are you?
Yeah, 35. Yeah.
Great, I'm older than him.
My sister told
Fabulous.
me that at once.
Yeah, your sister
And
told you
I'm
about
older
that.
than everybody.
Whatever.
Whatever. Oh, okay. Krista Stauffer has
And on that note-
been our guest. Hansberry, a couple of closing notes before we wrap things up.
Well, real quick, what's the social media and stuff? Let's plug the
Speak
your
Easily.
podcast.
Oh, Speak Easily. Oh, shoot. She just sent me all this today. Speak Easily with Krista Stauffer is the actual title of the name. So we're on SoundCloud, iTunes under Speak Easily with Krista Stauffer. Instagram.
See, it's
this
not
is
just
bad.
me.
Yeah,
She
well,
does
fair
it
enough.
too.
And-
I don't know anything.
But
That's
I
right.
mean, I do a lot of I do a lot of social media.
You do. Yeah, I
do.
I see you on a lot. So in Whiskey Business is
Yeah.
on Instagram, and we see you a lot on there.
Speak
So
Easily Columbus.
We'll tag you
Yeah.
on Whiskey Business Podcast on
Thank
Instagram. We have Facebook. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Whiskey Biz Show, YouTube. This is a lot of fun to watch. Subscribe. Hit that little subscribe button. Whiskey Business with Dino Tripodis. You got it. And I don't know. I think that's everything.
Good.
And share it with
That's
your
good.
actress and actor.
I should run
friends.
him now.
That's it. I don't know if that's you or the whiskey talking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks.
Uber is good.
Uber's good. All right, I'm going to wrap things up. Whiskey Business is a Never the Luck production, produced on the audio side by the lovely Greg Hansberry, and on the video side by the lovely John Whitney. And
you're so lovely.
yeah, the lovely John Whitney. And I am your host, Dino Tripodis, and I'm only as lovely as or as good as the guests that I have. Yeah, oh man, that was
good?
really that's really unattractive.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
If
see.
for those of you who are listening to the audio, you need to go over to YouTube now because
No, you don't.
Yeah,
Just avoid
that
it.
was
No,
that
it was
was
bad.
that was a really
bad.
ugly look.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
PR. Where's my PR?
Krista Stauffer has been the guest. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
So,
you.
my friends, until the next bottle, see you.
Peace out.